What is up? Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Channel 99 today. Zach is on the show. This dude is awesome. We talk everything from business to entrepreneurship, America, capitalism, freedom of creativity, the challenges that somebody might face when starting a business, leadership stuff, everything that I love and I don't really get to talk about much on this show. Zach talks about it, and he is an amazing guest. He is the host of Reaching World podcast. You learn a little bit about what he does as far as that show goes. It's an awesome podcast that he runs with a team, and they interview everybody from CEOs to Super Bowl athletes. So you'll get a taste of what it is that drives him, what it is that drives me, and everything in between. So make sure you subscribe, give us 5 stars, pass the episode along, swing by rhinorush.com, enter channel 9915, get stacked up, get jacked up, and if nothing else, have a wonderful rest of your day. For real though, have a good day.
Shut up and sit down.
Awesome. Zach, thanks for swinging by, dude.
You bet, man. I'm stoked to be here, Tim. I love the studio, love the setup. Super stoked to get down.
Thanks, man. Thank you. We've been trying to get together for a while to podcast because we're both podcasters.
Yeah, that's true.
And you do Reaching World podcast, which focuses on what?
Yeah, so Reaching World podcast is a passion of mine that I started just over a year ago, highlighting the good love and service that's done by nonprofits, charity work, and even highlighting entrepreneurs that have reached a level that we would consider the next level in business. Mm-hmm. And they coach, mentor, and give advice and instruction on how others can not only do good and influence those that they're following them, but also reach their potential, like, overcoming the obstacles that holding them back to take their business to the next level. And so we've had all kinds of wide ranges of guests, like CEOs of businesses, young entrepreneurs, to CEOs of nonprofits like Direct Relief, one of the largest nonprofits in the world, who directly help those affected by natural disasters. Mm-hmm. And they provide all the medical supplies for those that are in need. So it's been a great range, great show.
That's way cool. You were talking about earlier, you're getting somebody on from the Patriots.
Yeah.
Linebacker. Yeah. Super Bowl. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's super cool.
We love to highlight, like I said, a wide range of people, like those who have reached their potential in professional sports, to business, to just being a mother or a father or a leader in the community. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have our fingers crossed. Tentatively scheduled to have one of the reigning Super Bowl champion linebackers on our show 2 years in a row, Mr. Van Noy with the Patriots. So we're excited to have him on.
That'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to that episode.
Yeah.
And then your episodes, they're about 15, 20 minutes long.
Yeah. So we understand that people have a commute to work, right?
That's what I was just going to say. Your show's a show that I'll commute to.
Yeah.
The 15, 20-minute shows, because then I don't have to get heavily invested in it and then stop it. When I park, I'm like, oh, man, I want to sit and listen to it for 5 more minutes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I do that. And with the shorter ones, I can click on it, and it's easy because I can jump back in. It's like for video games, right? It's like when you play a role-playing game, like you're in there forever. Forever. When you're playing a football game, you're like, all right, I got an hour max, and I can change the quarter time. So it's like 30 minutes, I can pick up and play. And that's how I see it. Like with the shorter podcasts, they get to the point, they're straight to the point. A lot of people who are listening to those, they will be listening to more motivational stuff on the fly. It's something that they're going to be very engaged in, but you can't be engaged for 4 hours. It's very difficult. So for 20 minutes, I think you nailed it spot on. And I said the same thing to Shane too. I was like, especially when you have guests that come on the phone, it's very difficult with everything around you, just because you're not in a formal setting. Right. And so I think your interview style, same with a couple other podcasters that I've had in here who have very similar show formats. that's something that I admire, because I can't do that. I don't have time to edit. I'm not good at interviewing friends. I don't interview friends. I more or less just communicate and talk, and I like to probe and ask questions, and I think that for me is a little easier. I'm just not good at interviewing.
No, I think you do a great job, man. I love all the content you have put out there, and one thing that I do admire about the show is it's just very real and genuine, and you bring on guests and you highlight them and what they're doing, and it's just real, right?
Yeah.
One thing that maybe I chose the wrong avenue is I've kind of targeted things that I would listen to, like with my short version of the podcast. Like our longest episode was about 21 minutes, and even for me, I was like, man, that's long, but it was good stuff, good value for our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's the most important thing that you've done, and that I'm trying to do as well, is you found a way to get your voice out to the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your natural followers, who will become your raving fans, will naturally migrate and find you as long as you continue to bring out content. I think the thing that separates those who succeed and don't succeed is just a consistency, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
finding a way to naturally and consistently get your voice out to a market and attract people that will naturally migrate to you and follow you and your show. And I think you've done that.
Thank you.
Very well.
And I think to add to that, it's also important not just to push content and to get content out, but to continuously better your content, make the quality better. What I do on a continual basis, literally every day, when I'm hanging out with people and we're listening to a podcast, I'm like, all right, listen to the quality of this show, and then listen to your show, like one of the hosts or something, right?
Perfect.
And I'm like, listen to this and listen to that. What do you think sounds different? Like Joe Rogan podcast, right?
Right.
I'll do a side-by-side for Joe Rogan with somebody like 4 or 5 times. Listen to mine, listen to his. Listen to mine, listen to his. Yeah. And I can break down. I can be like, they have better production equipment, but whoever's producing this, Jamie or whoever,
right.
I'm like, they could probably tune, that guest's voice high a little, like they can tune the mids and the highs up, or tune them down, or like there's certain things that they could do that I notice only because that's what I have to do with my guests. Okay. And every single person that comes in here, I tune their voice in individually. So I become extremely meticulous with bouncing between different shows. Not necessarily Joe Rogan, but most open format shows, because that's what I can compare it to. I can't really compare my show to like a narrative show, like a story, because a lot of times those are the types of shows where they do put a little more production time and quality into it, because it's not a live broadcast. Yeah. They have the weekend to edit and adjust audio levels, like post-production and stuff like that. So for me, it's like, it's important at least to not only get out content, because you could push a bunch of crap and nobody's going to want to listen to it.
Sure.
Or you could have the greatest guest on, but if it's tinny and it doesn't sound good and you're in your kitchen and you're using one mic for 3 or 4 people, you could have, one of the best people in the world at whatever it is that they do, but nobody's going to want to listen to it after the first 5 minutes. Right. If you're hearing people smacking their gums or, it's like echoey. So that, to me, I don't know, I'm just very quality driven. I know I'll get content because I think I surround myself with enough people who are interesting and have great stories. So I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about people staying engaged and appreciating the time and effort that somebody puts into the quality.
Yeah. And I think that naturally comes with the length of your podcast. It needs to be quality driven, because people will want to listen to that. We just experienced that same thing last week. We had a guest on from the UK, and because of his position or where he was living, the audio struggled, and bottom line, we have to go ahead and record it. So re-record it. So for those people out there that are maybe struggling or deciding whether to take the next leap and go ahead and go forward with a podcast, just go. There's enough content out there in YouTube and influencers and marketers out there teaching individuals and people how to do it. But the bottom line is, you could be doing it for years and it won't sound good. It won't be perfect. You just got to, like I said, be consistent. So we have to go back and re-interview this guy. His name is John. And we met him in Las Vegas, actually, a couple weeks ago when we were at the Consumer Electronics Show the first week of January. We happened to run into him in the hallway at the Shark Tank open call. So we went to go interview entrepreneurs waiting in line, hoping to pitch their dream and their vision and their business to the sharks and get on the television show that's Shark Tank. So it's kind of fun to talk to those passionate, innovators in line waiting to get it. And John was one that we met randomly in the hallway as we were leaving. And he's actually created a product that him and his business partner started it with the mindset of helping people who work out and are into fitness to keep their body temperature and things under control, like through via app, and telling like the app what their body needs, like in a workout, like, oh, you need more hydration, you need more X, Y, or Z. Mm-hmm. And he's transitioned that technology into infants and baby clothing to tell mothers and parents of these young kids and young children, hey, look, your daughter or your son has a fever or lacks hydration or needs X, Y, or Z. So it's pretty cool technology, and he's kind of blowing up the market over there in the UK and bringing it over here to the US is his goal.
That's crazy. Hold on. So are there certain types of sensors that are placed specifically in areas on this clothing? Is it something you wear all the time? He
did send me a sample of it. I need to open it up and actually look at it. But from my understanding is there are sensors somehow built into the onesie or the shirt or the shorts or whatever the individual is wearing. So it's
That's
really
wild.
Cool. Yeah.
That's way wild.
Yeah, he'll be on season 2 of Reaching World, telling his mission, his story, and things he had to do, the loopholes he had to go through, obviously with the health industry of infants, and the promises and the benefits and the, those type of things he had to go through. He had to run through walls literally to bring forth his product.
I would assume he has to get it somehow approved through the federal government, whatever they call it over there.
Yeah, exactly.
And just to go through all the steps. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that because it's technically a medical device at that point.
Yeah,
is that what
it's
it is?
A medical device, and he actually had to spend 20 minutes with the Queen of England presenting it to her, and had to get her on board to even get approval. So yeah, the guy's been through, you could say, hell and back to bring forth this product. He's an inspiration. He's a fighter, man.
Well, I'm stoked for that. Yeah, I'm stoked for that episode, man.
Really cool.
I'll keep an eye out for that one. That's sick, dude. Who else have you had on?
Yeah, so season 1 was a ride. Growing up, I honored and one of my biggest mentors is John C. Maxwell. He's the influencer for leadership. He has, 6 or 7 books about leadership.
I love Maxwell.
He's fantastic.
I have all of his books.
Yeah, good. Everybody should that wants to take their leadership skills to the next level, basically. So when I was a sophomore in high school, I was becoming the varsity quarterback at my local high school, and my dad gave me one of John Maxwell's books and said, if you want to learn how to influence your huddle, read this book. And ever since that day, it totally changed my life of leadership. So one of my, when I sat down to start my podcast, I had my Dream 100, right? My Dream 100 list, and John Maxwell was maybe second or third on that list. So we started reaching out to him and his organization, and we didn't get John Maxwell himself, but we got the president of Equip Leadership. And Equip is in 192 countries, and it's funded, ran, and owned by John Maxwell. And they're leading, influencing, and helping kids all the way to middle school, high school, and even in college. I'm teaching them leadership skills, how to be charismatic, influence people, motivate them, and inspire them, and mixed in with almost Christian values and Christian morals as well. So it's really powerful stuff. So he was actually our second guest we had, and we're like, wow, John Maxwell, that's awesome. So the guys that was on the podcast, his name is Terrence Chapman. He's the president of Equipped Leadership Organization. And then we had the CEO of Project Happiness, which is an incredible organization. They have 3 million followers on Facebook, and they help individuals struggling with mental and health issues, right? So if they're struggling with anxiety or depression or those type of attributes or characteristics that people fall upon them, they actually help those people overcome those things. So they have all these products and services and programs helping literally save lives. And they went to the highest, I'll have to go back and listen to my own episode. I don't remember where the city was, but it's a country in Africa that was the highest per capita suicide rate. and they started implementing their programs for free and teaching all these kids and children. And I guess it had such a big enough impact that the ambassador or the president of the country now is like installed, integrated all their programs into the country all over. So she's literally changing and saving people's lives. So that was a big highlight from season 1 as well.
That's awesome. How many episodes do you have on season 1?
Season 1, we only have 12. It was kind of a what do they call those first episodes of TV shows? That was our
pilots.
That was our pilot season. And
you work out the kinks.
Yeah,
you don't even want to see mine. My first few episodes, I took those off so quick.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. I one of my mentors too. His name is Garrett White. I follow him because he's one of those guys that when YouTube first came out, he was putting all these videos out, and he on stage in Las Vegas in 2015, I think, he stood up in front of everybody and said, "You know what? You all suck. All of you suck." And he just like went off and telling everybody in the audience, there's 500 to 1,000 people in the room. He's like, basically told us we all suck and had to accept it. And said, look, that's okay. You suck and you continue to suck until you suck less, and then you can become a master or, so.
Truth.
So the idea is that you're going to suck and you just got to accept it. Yeah. But the fact that you're actually out there doing it, you're one step ahead of those people that aren't doing
more.
It.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, the haters, right? Like anyone hating or criticizing what you're doing or what you're trying to do are those who gave up on their own dreams, right? Like, and they're just jealous that you're trying and you're making an effort to do it.
Yeah. Well, and when you have haters, that just makes you so much better, right? Because all the famous people got haters. All the rappers got haters.
Everybody got them haters.
I'm looking for my haters. Oh, all my haters out there. Make sure you comment now. Hit me up. Tell me how much you hate me, how shitty my show is.
Yeah. But that's okay, because just as many haters, there's going to be people that actually become loyal and raving fans.
Yeah, that's very true. And you can't buy loyalty,
right?
I think that's very important, especially when you're like podcasting. That's why I bring on people who I have on my show. It's because like those are people who have loyal followings. They're real. They're not out there buying likes. They're not out there pushing fake stuff. They're hustlers, and I see that in them, and that's why I like to bring them on, like you. I like to bring people like you on the show from, every industry, whatever it might be, wherever they are in life,
right?
Career-wise or families or dating or whatever it is, and whatever topic it is. It's just interesting for me to have people that can bring different points of view, like leadership and stuff like that. I love leadership. I obsess over it,
Yeah, I believe you got a degree in leadership, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And then my master's too.
Wow.
And then I've thought about going back and getting my PhD in leadership.
Wow.
Eventually, give it a few years when like I've streamlined my life.
Yeah.
It's a little volatile right now. I've got so much stuff going on. I've got a lot of projects, and I do a lot of stuff, but yeah, it's really cool just to have somebody like you come in the studio. We've known each other for a long time, dude. And like a long time. I'm surprised I've done 100+ episodes and you haven't been on my show. Like, I'm really surprised, dude.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm not cool enough to be on your show. Maybe in 5 years.
No, like that's the thing. We wanted to expand, like, as we grow, and we're trying to decide if we want to keep seasons and every 30 episodes is a new season, or just want to continue to mainstream episodes, because we wanted to broaden the horizon of who we talk to, because the reason why I started Reaching World Podcast is I didn't want to have to wait until I have huge aspirations. Like, let's be real, I want to be a billionaire. Like, when it comes down to it, and why people ask me all the time, why do you want to be a billionaire, is because I want to influence the lives of that many more people, like, and
give back.
Influence comes through service and love, and and I was like, you know what, my podcast, like, I don't have to wait until I'm a multimillionaire or even a billionaire to start influencing, right? And that's the whole point of why I started the podcast. And so I wanted to bring on guests that have that burning desire to start influencing, or to have taken that step to influence or inspire or following their dreams or passions, like you.
Thank you.
So we should have you on the show, man. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And tell us your journey of this podcast, because you have you've put out a lot of episodes. I mean, in the Valley of Treasure Valley, there's not that many other podcasts that have that many episodes as you do. I know of a few, but the fact is that you are building a tribe and you're taking that step. It's admirable. And we should highlight that.
Well, you're part of it, so I appreciate it. You've definitely influenced me. In fact, I consistently think back when you try to sell me your mixer board, and I'm like, because it was a 12 channel, was it 24 channel? It was twice as big as mine.
Yeah, it was bigger than I needed at the time.
Because when you showed it to me, when you sent me the photo, you're like, hey man, I don't need this. Do you want to buy it for like 150? I'm thinking, I just bought one half that size for 150. But I don't know if I could use it. I remember if I'm messaging you back, I was like, I already have one.
Yeah,
and that's more than what I could use. And I thought to myself, I was like, what is this guy building? Like, this dude has to have a giant studio right now. But
I think I get it genetically from my parents. Like,
well,
they just go all in. They're so big. The way they do things.
Go big or go home.
Right.
I was even thinking today, I was thinking to myself, I was like, maybe I'll ask him if he still has it. But then I think to myself, I'm like, I really don't need anything else right now. Maybe when I add more. But I've been thinking about, because you can put how many more mics into yours? Is it just 4?
Yeah, we just have up to 4.
Okay, because that's what I have. It's just 4. And I was thinking if I wanted to add more mics, because sometimes I have bands in here
that
are like 6 or 7 people, and it's hard to split when you're in this kind of a room and you're splitting 2 people on one mic and you've got other people. It's hard because my mic might pick up his voice, or that mic might pick up the other guy's voice, because it's hard to tune everybody in when you have to be so close, Yeah. So it's difficult to balance it, but those are the fun challenges of podcasting. Yeah. Nobody know, like when you're podcasting, you don't realize when you only have 4 mics or even 3 mics and you have 2 or 3 too many people, and when you're trying to balance the sound out, at least in my seat, it's a challenge and it's fun, but at the end of the day, nobody notices except the dude with the headphones on in the corner, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I take pride in a little bit inside. I'm always like, oh, right, that does sound good. That guy didn't sound like crap. Yeah, because then I listen to it afterward. I'm like, oh, thank God. I didn't waste 3 hours of my life.
Well, you got to have pride in your work to an extent. You got to have pride in it.
You have to, man.
It keeps it passionate, it keeps it exciting.
Yeah.
And, those who find success, it's it's how passionate you are about your current project, right? Like what you're doing, like that's success to me. Like automating your life, having passion and excitement about it, because you're excited to go to work, because it doesn't feel like work when you're doing something fun like this.
And you attract people who have similar passions in life, or passions in general. They're people who have goals and they have aspirations and they have things that they want to do. And I think that when you exude those types of qualities, those are the things that attract people to you, and you're able to kind of gain and build a network, which is why I like having the studio, man. Again, I have like artists and athletes and musicians and police officers and Olympic medalists and like meth heads that get shot 21 times by Boise police, and I have a lot of different very unique people who come in here, and the dynamic of the shows that I've been able to produce through the hosts that I have on the show, where they bring their own guests on, I think that it drives a lot of respect from those people when they come in the room and they see that this is a lot of work, man. Like somebody doesn't just do this just because they have nothing to do. Like, I'm very passionate about what I do, and that's why I have you on the show, because you're the exact same, dude. You hustle, bro. Like, you are always hustling all the time. Every time I talk to you, you're always working, always hustling. But I mean, you're a family man. And you definitely were raised in a good family. Your father's a doctor, physician, right?
He is.
And your mom is she's definitely like my mom. she's very caring, very motherly. Yeah, totally.
When you have 5 boys, you got to be.
You have to be. That's a lot of testosterone. I have 5 boys in my family.
Yeah, there you go.
So
we learned the hustle from our college football coach, though, right?
Yeah, totally. Go Fitz.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Shout out to the Knights.
Shout out to the Knights. Do you ever follow those guys?
Not too much, actually. I think I pulled up one game where they were playing someone that we had played, but yeah.
I usually just pull up every couple of weeks. I'll just see if they're winning.
Yeah.
And they're not.
They're not.
Ever since Fitz left. That was such a padded schedule. Did we talk about that?
Wow, no kidding.
He went 10-1 that year or something, or 9-2 or something.
Just to pad the schedule, a record, so we can bail and get a bigger contract, which you got to do what you got to do.
Yes.
And going back to what you said, like you're creating all these different problems. I think at the end of the day, you create more problems when you take massive action, right? The whole Grant Cardone mentality is you want bigger problems because your dreams and aspirations of where you're trying to go are so much bigger than the problems you create when you take so much massive action, that it's better than like having the problem of, oh man, I'm stuck in traffic because I'm coming home from my 9 to 5, or what am I going to eat for dinner tonight? You know, those are the daily 9 to 5 problems that people go through.
Yeah, they are.
Right? Those are the questions they have to ask themselves every day.
Yeah.
But when you're an innovator, an entrepreneur, and a hustler, like you can't, if you're comfortable, you're not growing, right? Like at the end of the day. So
yeah.
So I admire what you've done. Like you create more problems because you're taking action to get your message and voice out.
Thank you. And it is true. Going back to what you say, most people will think, well, what am I going to eat tonight, or what am I going to do tonight? Where people who hustle, it's more like, what am I going to work on tonight, or how am I going to buy the food? Like, what am I going to do to make sure I can provide food for my table that I'm going to eat tonight? And it's a different mentality. It's more of it's a less of a give and take and more of a survival mentality, right? And that's, I don't know. When I think about business, I think back to like primal instinct.
Yeah,
right? It's a claw, or I mean, it's like a dogfight. It's like you're clawing your way through everybody else to get to the top, man. It's a dog eat dog world. And what I try to do in business is I try to align myself with people who are going to maximize whatever my opportunities are.
Sure.
And I'll be able to leverage my strengths, in whatever capacity I need to be able to contribute and make a successful business relationship.
Well, good for you.
So,
I mean, we're working on like you're here recording. It was funny before we started. It's Sunday. It's the weekend. Like people work the 9 to 5. They work for the weekend, right? They work 40 hours for $40,000 to hope to retire in 40 years. The 40-40-40. When I have the mindset of 5-5-5, what are the 5 realities that I'm going to create in the next 5 years? And to retire in 5 years. Like that's what I want to do, right? Like I want to be financially stable before I hit 40 and live the rest of my life like just influencing and serving, right?
Totally.
And so it's a whole different thing. So
which is why it's fun to do the studio, because I have these goals of just eventually getting either bought out, right? The goal of a business is either go public or get bought out.
Right.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to go under. So
true.
So for me, thinking about, let's say on the studio level, because I do own other businesses, but on the studio level, for me, it's like I'm trying to position myself eventually in the next like year to 2 years, be able to go out and peacock and say, hey, this is what I have been working on. You can listen to episode 1 and episode 300 and you'll be able to tell a difference in literally every way possible. The quality of the sound and, the editing for the video and, just different stuff like that I'm, again, very meticulous about. And I'm a perfectionist, but it takes me a long time to get to perfect, that's how people like us are though. And it's exciting because even though I'm not getting paid for it, monetarily, I'm being paid for it in a way that I'm learning from people. Yeah. And to me, you can take my money, but you can't take my knowledge.
Right. Exactly.
And to me, that's important. I'm already set up. It's not, for me, I'm not in a position where I'm like, I'm begging for somebody to come in and just give me money. And, I'm not a person who, I don't want to be bought out necessarily. I want to be the person who goes through and says, I like your show. Be on my show. I'll produce your show, put you on my network.
Perfect.
I'll pay for your streams. Yeah. But right now I'm in the position to get picked up by somebody because I think maybe my content could be streamed, but I don't have the money nor, any of the resources to bring on people for that level of a network at this point,
Yeah.
Because it's expensive.
But you started in August.
I did, right? I did, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, those who, like, what is it, 10,000 hours to be a master at something, right? They say in sports, right? Like,
okay.
Who was it that said that? Was it
Probably
Tiger
Bo
Woods
Jackson,
or Michael
maybe?
Jackson, Michael Jordan? One of those guys said, to become a master. I know I learned it from my golf coach.
Yes,
in
I have heard
college,
that. Yes.
to become a master is 10,000 hours, and have you put 10,000 out? Like, nowhere close. But again, you've done a lot more than the person behind you. Yeah. Right? You just got to be one chapter, one step, one one problem, one solution ahead of those that are listening or following, right? So, and again, it's you and I both have degrees. Like, we went and got trained professionally by professors, and those 4 years that I got my business degree, sure, I paid tens of thousands of dollars for, but at the end of the day, like, I had learned more when I left college and ran a business for 9 months, 6 months, 9 months to a year. I learned more in that year than I did those 4 years of running it. So the same situation, like, you're going to become a master just by running and operating and hustling and grinding. That eventually, why can't Channel 99 Studios, right? Why can't Channel 99 Studios be offering, here's my package, here's my solution, here's my $1,000 program of step-by-step blueprint of how to start your own podcast, run a podcast, get your list, right? Like, right. And if I'm a podcast if I'm an individual having aspirations to start a podcast, I'm going to turn to people that are ahead of the book, that are a few chapters ahead of me, and purchase your program to buy it, right? So, right. I mean, like you said, you may not be monetizing it now, but that time will come when you get closer to those 10,000 hours.
Totally. Somebody actually approached me, and I haven't even thought about this, but somebody approached me the other week and was talking about how he's going into business with an individual who sells photography packages, and it's like how-tos. Oh, yeah. So they're all a bunch of professional photographers, and it's like different types of like how to edit and how to take photos and what settings to use and like cameras and all that stuff. So they're putting that together, and I was like, I never thought about that. And he was saying, yeah, well, some of these people who run these companies, let's say they have 1 million people, right? Breaking down numbers. Say 1 million people. Let's say we only get 1% of 1 million people to click on
10,000 people.
Yeah, and only let's say 6% of that 1,000 people buy the package. Well, the package is $500. Yeah, and they're like, these guys will literally make like $300,000 in a week, and they'll make $6,000 in a day. Exactly. He's like, dude, it's all you do is you set it up, and people are hungry. If you have 1 million people who are looking at it, and you have, 1/6%, and those people buy a $500 package, you're still making a lot of money.
Exactly.
So I
think of it as like the gold rush that this country was established, right? And then everybody came west. Why? They had a dream to find gold in California, right? There's a huge influx of migration of people going to the west to find gold and become rich, right? That's today's hustle. It's the same hustle. It's just digitally, right? Everyone's trying to go west to find the gold, right? And who actually made money in that gold rush? The top 1% to 2% of people that could afford doing things. And then guess who else became rich in that gold rush? Those people providing the tools, the shovels, the pitchforks, the wheelbarrows, the equipment, and the tools necessary to find gold or look for gold, right? So in today's market, sure, become the master of something and provide tools and resources for others to follow and chase their own gold, right? And I think your studio and your experience, I feel like you're ahead of me. You've done 4 times more episodes than we have with my podcast. Right. So I feel like there's already things that I could learn from you, and that but I've already done a podcast. So there's so many other people out there looking for the shovel or the pitchfork or the wheelbarrow of how to become, a podcaster. So as you become more of an expert and more of a master, like that time will come. We can provide those tools and resources for those following you. Yeah,
that's true. And there are people out there who will buy it. And it's not necessarily a game about money, right? Yeah. Like, money comes with what you love to do. And eventually, let's say that is something that I were to do, like put together a how-to package on podcasting and were to sell it, I think that would definitely be worth my time. It's not like I'm doing it for the money, right. But I might as well make money on it.
In it while you do it.
Yeah, totally. And I think there are people out there who don't want to put the time, or they don't have the time to do that on their own. Right. Yeah, and they can afford the $500 because they don't have the time because they're working. Probably. Yeah. They're probably working too hard to do that research. Because I've had people hit me up, be like, hey, can I come in and shadow you and do all this and this and come in and use your studio?
If one is asked, there's thousands.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to, but sometimes I just don't have the time to like coach because I've taken a year of my life to get to where I'm at. And it's like, I really don't think I can like shadow. I mean, people are welcome to come in and shadow me, but I don't have time to like go through like classes basically.
Yeah.
And be like, this is why it works and this is how it works and this
Yeah.
and this for like 2-3 hours. I would love to, but if I did that for everybody, then everybody's going to go home and they're going to steal my product, you know, or my you know. So it's like photographers, you know. I talk to photographers, they don't like to give away their secrets.
Yeah.
They don't talk about what their editing numbers are. They don't talk about what their contrast and their highlights and their tint. They don't talk about that, you know, because that's
proprietary,
pretty much proprietary. And I do take a lot of pride in the way my show sounds. And I think it's everybody has, you know, a preference on the way they want things to sound. So for me, I don't want anybody to rip me off. You know, like I'm more than happy to help navigate the waters for somebody, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to give you, you know, my proprietary blend of audio mixing. You know, I would love to,
but at the same time, as you grow, that could be one of the most flattering things. Like at the same time, like they're gonna hate until they replicate. Right. Like people are like, that's flattery if someone's like, hey, I want to come do what you're doing and I want to do the same thing.
Totally.
You know, so as you figure things out, I think that'll become more of a flattering thing than you know, a protective thing. So like something I'm doing now is like I'm helping people automate those systems. Like, you know, with my ad agency that I've started in 2014, we basically help individuals, business owners, and professionals offering a service or a product and teaching them and implementing automation systems, you know, of like not just websites, but actual sales funnels, online funnels, programs, membership sites, webinars, things like that, email auto response, those types of, you know, content and value to business owners, because like you said, your time is more valuable. But if you can automate, if you could replicate Tim 100 times on different platforms and different places and drive traffic and find the right hot buyer, you know, you could 100x Tim Meyer and be all over the place, right?
Yeah, true. So, see, I don't think about stuff like that because you hustle from every angle. You do so much stuff, man. You've done so much stuff. We the first venture I worked on with you was the Zombie Acres.
Wow, Zombie Acres.
Zombie Acres. Did you forget about that?
No,
that was dope.
Well, there's times I do want to forget about it, but
really,
no, like I said, I learned so much in the first 9 months to a year out of college. Was the first venture I ran. I had a brother and a brother-in-law that we saw, look, the market loves zombies for whatever reason. Like we hardly did Halloween. I didn't care too much about zombies, although I was one of the large percentage that watched season 1 and season 2 of Walking Dead just because I was in a zombie industry. So I'm like, let's see what people love. Yeah, Zombie Acres. Wow. 2013.
That was so
I went to a bus auction. Check this out. If anybody wants to replicate this model, I'll teach you exactly how to do it right here. I went to a bus auction. We bought 2 school buses. Man, we got them for so cheap. We had a connection. We got them like $1,200 a piece.
What?
Yeah, entire school buses that ran.
Yeah, they ran.
We modified those things. I think you came over and helped.
I did. I cut out some of those
seats apart,
out,
painting things, wiring up systems. So we turned these like, you know, school buses, these public government school buses, into complete zombie assault vehicles, man.
Yeah. With like guns out of every window.
We had assault rifle, the AR, paintball guns mounted at every window. We had camo netting throughout the whole thing. We had a really rad audio system, just thump music and sound effects and
lights and stuff.
My brother, he's a ranger for the U.S. Army, and he recorded all these like awesome like audio and like mission. Hey, listen, troops! Like, it was so cool. It's like a super assault vehicle, and we ran it. We ran at Linder Farms, and they actually bought the school bus for me a few years later, and the bus is still there to this day at Linder Farms.
Are they doing a zombie thing?
Not a driving zombie thing, because a couple years ago, someone up north was ran over, unfortunately. So my insurance actually stopped.
That.
Yeah,
I read about that. Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Super scary. That was a horror of mine. I had nightmares about that type of.
So wait, hold
accident.
On. So this was not your business.
It was not.
No. But I remember when that happened, I think I hit you up.
You were one of the 200 people that were like, I'm so sorry. I heard. And I'm like,
you guys.
Oh, man. The anxiety and stress.
I can only imagine. I never thought about that. I remember when I was on the bus one time and we got stuck in the mud. And everybody got out of the bus, and people were like trying to push the bus out of this mud.
One of the 1 million things that you don't think about.
Expect,
yeah, as an entrepreneur, like there's so many obstacles that come every day. Like, we're finally up and running, and we go 100 yards, and then we get stuck in the mud. Like,
and we, I remember setting up all the zombie, mannequins everywhere. And then you were hiring out all the high school football players.
Yeah. Like, who else wants to get who else could you convince to get shot with paintball guns? Right. Like, hey, high school football players, here's some free pizza and minimum wage. It's just not really. I wasn't that bad. But so
they're in high school. Who cares?
Yeah,
man?
they didn't care. I got them Beto's burritos and pizza and gave them a few bucks and gave them tips. And they loved it. So they got to dress up. They wore a paintball mask, and then we put a zombie mask over the top of the paintball mask. That's what everybody asked. Did you allow people to get shot in the face? Yeah. Headshots. That's how you kill a zombie, right? So we had to figure out a way that these high school kids could take headshots and go home at night and still see, right? Not end up in the ER. So we did, we glued, we sewed, we tied, we, put zombie masks on paintball masks, and then actually ordered I think 30 riot suits from China.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah,
it
like
was
full
like
body riot suits. They had from head to toe, like they were covered, like they were protected. But it was funny because as time went by, they would get hot and sweaty, and they tried to get tougher and tougher, and slowly that armor came off, and
started falling apart. Yeah. Chinese.
Well, they would take it off and just like, I'm going to be tough.
Yeah.
Like I want to, show off to my friends. But we had a good time with that. And, the bus, so basically the bus drove through the corn, right? And they would stop at a scene, and that scene would be totally decked out. We had like a hospital scene, and then we had hotel scenes, and then we had a house scene or neighborhood scenes, and we had all these different scenes and stories. The audio lined up with each story and each scene, and so people loved it. I'm sure people listening to this may remember Zombie Acres, but yeah, we started at Farmstead, and then we only ran there for a couple weeks. That's a long story. Actually, not even a couple weeks, a couple days. And then we had to move over to Linder Farms due to some zoning issues about discharging paintball guns.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
There was a big issue. That was a pain in the butt, because then we had to go out there to Linder and set that back up all over again. That was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work, dude.
Guys, like, if you're trying to start a business or run a business, like, you just got to be willing to work 100 hours
for free
for yourself,
yeah,
instead of 40 hours for someone else. Like, that's just part of the game. And oh man, like each one of those zombie mannequins required like one of those metal rods to go in the ground. And so I remember us pounding those things down. Like we had to put,
pain in the
I think
butt.
we had to pull them all out. Like 3 days later. Oh my gosh, I still don't know how I got through that. Unbelievable.
A lot of help.
So much,
a lot of support.
You gotta get support, help, and just you gotta have a fighter mentality of just willing to do whatever it takes,
and knowing that it'll eventually be done.
Yeah. Because before we even ran our first bus, like I wanted to give up like 900 times. It just seemed so much easier to go back to Wells Fargo and be a banker,
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were at Wells Fargo before that.
Yeah. Well, we had to get a loan on our house, and, banks don't like entrepreneurs' inconsistency of income. And so to get our house, retreated just long enough to get approved for a loan at Wells Fargo, and then I bailed. So
you got your quarter point off. Was it a half point or a quarter point that they hooked you up? I think it was a half point.
Yeah, it was a half point.
It was a half point. So when I was working there, that's when I bought my house, but I didn't go through Wells Fargo.
Oh, okay.
I ended up going through just a local mortgage place, and they sold it off. But
yeah.
But yeah, when I was working with Wells Fargo, I'm kind of glad I didn't buy from Wells Fargo, just because I think right after that they had a big issue with all the loans that they
a bunch of fraud,
a lot of fraud
and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So
people being hacked and everything.
Yeah. And I think that they were like discriminating on certain levels with their housing loans and stuff like their house loans and stuff. Yeah, dude, Wells Fargo has been in a lot of crap for the last few years. Yeah, for being the third largest bank in America. Yeah, they're definitely in some heat. They can't sell anymore. There's no sales. So anybody
Really?
listening to this, anybody listening, go ahead and call into Wells Fargo and pretend like you want to buy something and they can't sell it to you.
Really?
They can't.
I didn't know that.
No sales. That was the worst thing when I worked there. That was the worst thing. It was just sales. Like such a high pressure environment.
Yeah, it really is.
I knew people who thrived and they'd been there for like 10 years,
Wow.
when I was working there, and I was like, oh man, God bless all of you.
Serious?
Because like 2.5 years, I was there for 2.5. And the only reason why was because, I just couldn't get a job anywhere else. It was, the economy was just terrible. I didn't qualify for anything. I was just out of school, a couple of years, and I worked in customer service. I had no leadership roles. Like,
Sure.
what else was I going to get? Another job on the phone, which
Right.
is what happened.
Yeah.
But went back to school, kind of fell into where I'm at now, and fortunately, I'm in a position to have time to be more of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And be more creative. Life, on the 9 to 5 is very structured and is very boring.
Sure.
For me at least. Some people might like that. I do enjoy my 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
But when I leave my 9 to 5 job, I'm excited to go home and work on my other stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, until that becomes what you do all the time.
Job.
Right?
Yeah, until that becomes my 9 to 5. And in that case, it'd be more like my 10 to 2.
10
with the 2-hour lunch. So
Yeah. No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the 9 to 5. Like, it's not a shame. Like, people can't be ashamed of that. Like, you got to do what you got to do to provide for you and your family, and you got to hustle on the side if you want to change the world. At the end of the day, like, no politician or government organization is going to change the world. It's going to come down to you. Like, you're the only one have to blame for your current situation and your status and your future status and situation, right? So if you want to become what you want to become, like, you got to figure out a way to make it happen. And you got to figure out, like, I learned how to start making income in college, like on Amazon. I had 3 different entities, and I had 11 different seller accounts, and I was selling and drop shipping and importing all these products and selling them online and making money. And I found out Amazon frowned on that. You're not supposed to have more than one seller account. At the time, I didn't know. I just thought I was innovating and creating and providing income for my family. So yeah, there's just no shame in that, and to have a 9 to 5 because you got to do what you got to do. But yeah.
Well, I think not everybody wants to be a leader, right? I work with people who have been in the same job for like 7, 8, 9 years. They don't care to be a leader. They don't want to have the responsibility. They don't want to have anything outside of their general scope of work.
Yeah.
And I get that. But it's the same thing with being an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to go out and make the hustle. They're comfortable making the money that they're making. They don't live outside their means, and they don't have that drive. And that, like you're saying, there's no shame in that. That's totally cool. But people who go out there and they use their creativity and they look for things that could benefit other people. They want to change the world in some way. Maybe it's a new nail clipper. Who knows? Or it might be some new
Jaws eyes, right? Like the
guy
that shoes on. We're actually having him on the podcast next week.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, that's sweet. Jazzercise.
Yeah. Like, look how what?
Yeah.
People go, what?
Yeah.
What do you sell? Like, I sold zombies, shooting zombies in the head with paintballs.
And
like,
people
what?
ate it up.
People
they loved it, dude.
People love Jazzercise. Like, it's just, you got to figure out something that works, right?
Dude,
you got to
is
find
so
a hot
cool.
niche, hot buyer, and you just got to do it. So
you do, man.
Because like you said, like, the only people that are going to change the world are entrepreneurs in their own little way. Like, whether it's you or your own family, or individually, you want to change your own world or your family's life, or influence a mass wide audience. It just doesn't come like going up a corporate ladder, which is fine. I had a friend tell me yesterday, he's like, your mindset is complete, like, entrepreneur, like, that's in your blood, and it has to be like, if you dabble, you get dabbled results, right? Like you go all in, like, this is your weekend. You're a 9 to 5 guy, like, you're supposed to enjoy your weekend and sit back and drink a soda, but look at you, you're grinding, you're hustling, you're on the podcast here on Sunday, like, you just got to do what you got to do. And so I admire that. But the whole point of me saying that was, the way to change your own world and your environment is it's going to come through you, bottom line. Like, you can buy every course, every class, every mentor, every program out there, but at the end of the day, it comes with you.
Right. Well, and we're fortunate enough to live in a society, a country that provides us with the freedoms to compete
opportunity
on a capitalism, like on an economic level, with technology, and that's what drives the economy, drives creativity, the open markets and the freedom to do what you want. Look at places like Cuba. Look at places like North Korea.
True.
You want to go back 50 fucking years? Excuse my language, but you want to go back 50 years?
Yeah.
Those people cannot be entrepreneurs. They cannot be business owners. They cannot create. They don't have somebody that they can look at and say, I can make that better. Why? Because the government does it.
Yeah.
We live in a country that affords us the opportunities to be creative and to be able to make change and to be able to compete. And that is why, in my opinion, the United States is the greatest country in the world. We drive innovation, and we do it very successfully. We do it very well. And it's all because of the freedoms that we are afforded.
Yeah.
And it's a shame when people don't take advantage of those freedoms.
Take advantage of it.
It's like, people ask me all the time, well, how do you start a business? I would love to tell you how to start a business, but go to the Attorney General's office, State Secretary, go to the State Secretary's office, put $100 down and get a license. You'll never have to pay for it again. Just renew it every year. Yeah, you could have 20 businesses under your name. Write off everything you buy. You buy a popsicle, create a business called I Like Popsicles Inc. Right? Write it off. Right? Just make sure you make popsicles and sell them so you don't get busted. But
exactly.
But nowhere else. I mean, very few places in the world you can do this.
True. I have two guys in my office that their parents aren't excited about me. They don't like me very much because these two kids saw an opportunity to make money, start a business, and develop income. So they actually both dropped out of college to chase what we're going after and what we're building. And so I don't think, I'm not saying drop out of college and do it, but you got to do whatever you got to do to find a way to make it, successful. So,
well, I mean, to look at most people who are successful in life, a lot of times they leave traditional schooling and they pursue what they want to do and what they know they're good at. And we know those people as Bill Gates, Zuckerberg. Those are a lot of the people who they find what they're good at, they know what they're good at, and they have an understanding that your traditional curriculum is not going to teach you how to be creative. It's going to just teach you the societal construct of what business in general is. This is how business works, not this is how you need to run a business. This is just how business works. And the real world application is something that most people are, I think that's what holds a lot of people up, is because they think, oh, well, I understand business. Okay, well, now go apply it and see how that works. It doesn't. It's completely different.
That's true.
It's it's not like law. It's not set in stone. Business is very tricky, and there's a lot of loopholes, man. There's a lot of sharks out there.
A lot of sharks.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways to make money.
So many ways.
When it comes down to it, is take a risk and go for it. But don't dabble, go all in, right? Yep. And when you go all in, go until you can't go anymore. And then it's okay to fail. Like, failure is opportunity for success, or for opportunity for learning. A local guy that I can still consider a mentor, Russell Brunson, I reached out to him when, one of my ventures was struggling, and I'm like, bro, what do I do? Like, how do I keep going? And he said, you know what? At the end of the day, it's okay. Like, our founding fathers created an organization, our system here in the United States, that if your company goes under, bankrupt it and move on. It's okay to separate. It's okay to have starting and failing companies. Like, that's just opportunity and growth, and you got to adapt, right? Like, going back to Zombie Acres, for example, like when that kid was ran over up north, it shut our whole model down because I couldn't get insured. No insurance wouldn't allow me to drive. So what did we do? We adapted. We created a stationary shooting range and took it on the road. We said, we're going to go pound the streets. We go to county fairs, state fairs, all over the country. We went as far north as Ohio State Fair and worked our way all across the country, setting up a stationary shooting range to shoot haunted actors and collect money at the fairs and county fairs, because people were walking around with cash in their pockets ready to buy entertainment, right? And so that's the whole thing, is failing is okay. I would rather work and fail falling forward than being the fool who never tried, right? To fail, or give up. Yeah.
I like what you say about failure. It's true. You have to fail. Everybody has to fail. You have to fail, because if you don't fail, then you're probably not pushing yourself. You're not putting yourself in uncomfortable positions.
Exactly.
Because if you are, you're just streamlining your life. I mean, if you're not having any like difficulties, you're just streamlining your life. And to me, that's not exciting, because yes, it can be stressful when you fail, or when you have some type of a roadblock. The way that I would look at it, it's exciting in a way, because now I'm presented with a problem and I need to find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many ways you can solve one problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
5. You can get 5 times 1.
Right.
You can get 5 minus 0. You can get 10 minus 5. You can get 10 divided by 2. You can come to 5. You can come to the same conclusion with multiple different solutions.
Exactly.
To me, it's almost like a trivial game. Like, all right, now I have to figure out how to fix this, or I have to figure out how to make this better. And if I can't, I need to find somebody who can help me. And the challenge in itself,
network, and mastermind, any of that. There's so much out there to help you with those type of things.
So if people are not being challenged, then they're not living life to its fullest.
Sounds like school.
It does. F school,
like
by the
going
way.
to public school.
Right.
Like, don't even get me started. That could be a whole nother hour of the biggest corrupted system in our country.
I had a public school teacher on. My old school teacher came on. Yeah.
Oh, I love those guys. Like, I love them. They're really trying to make a difference for the next generation of leader. The system is it's kind of gone far whack. But it was funny because my sales rep just told me yesterday, like. And this isn't patting myself on the back, but this is just the idea that, look, anybody can go do it. Take a risk and go all in. Don't dabble. Okay. He's like, wow, dude, Zach, I'm just realizing that you live a lifestyle that 98% of America can only dream about. And I'm like, bro, like, I hardly have that much money. Like, it's not a money thing. I control every minute of my time. Because I work from home. Like, I got in a bigger house so I can cut off half my house or portion of my house to my office. And I wake up, I'm there in the morning when my kids wake up. I'm the one that feeds them breakfast. I want to be that. I want to be there all 3 meals of the day. And because I've broken it down to knowing exactly how much money I need each month to cover my basis, how much money I need to invest in myself and in my business, and then how much money does my family need for entertainment and memory creation and, relationship building within our family. And I've broken that budget out. And I know that no matter what, at the end of the month, I got to hustle and get this amount of money, right? And anything else,
your buckets.
Got to fill the bucket. And we've been fortunate enough to find niches and hot target audiences wanting to buy something in different niches and providing services and value and content to those people and generating enough sales to live this lifestyle that it's not luxury. I'm not driving a Lamborghini or have my private jet yet.
Right. Me either. Yet.
But it's allowed my freedom I knew number one thing I wanted to be is a father and a provider and be there when my kids woke up and when they have lunch and when they can eat dinner. So that's my goal and that's my aspiration right now, right? My bigger dreams are to, serve millions of people all over the world that need it. But right now I'm taking care of my nest and the eggs, and then you expand from there, right?
Totally.
And I have people all the time. They're like, Zach, like my 2 sales reps are like, Zach, like who is going to buy this product or this service, this webinar that we're offering, or who's going to do it? And I'm like, guys, look at my phone. Like, I get texts every day. They're like, bro, like I hate the 9 to 5. Look at what do you have for me? What advice do you have for me? And at the end of the day, like, I don't have a gold nugget. I don't have the gold nugget. I've tried and failed so many different things that, look, try this, apply this, adapt this, innovate this, or implement this. And it helps people. And that's, so as an entrepreneur, a business owner, those looking to take their business or their lives to the next level, like you have to go, okay, I get compensated for solving a problem or solution. Okay. And the bigger problem or solution that I solve, I can charge that much more money, right? The bigger the problem, the bigger the compensation, right? So like, for example, if you want to eventually monetize your podcast, having all these hours under your belt, people want to value their time more than the time they struggle and suffer through starting their podcast. They have a solution. You have a problem. They want to promote or build a podcast, and you have their solution, right? So the whole idea is find what you're passionate about. You have a superpower. You have something to offer the market or the people out there in the world. you have been born with a special trait or a talent or an ability. Now go share it and find a way to solve people's problems by using that talent or that ability and that solution. So that's what it is, just getting behind something that's you're passionate about and you're talented enough to solve other people's problems and then get compensated for it.
Yeah. And start. I think the problem most people have is people have these grandiose, amazing ideas. And I talk to a lot of people.
Everyone that's showered has a good idea and should be a millionaire, right?
Right. It's so true, though, because people come up to me, like, oh, man, I got this great idea, and I'm sending anything, and I'm like, all right, well, go do something with it.
Yep.
Go do something with it. If you have an idea, go do something. Google, make sure nobody else has done it.
Yeah.
And then go do it.
Or replicate what they're doing.
And make it better.
Make it yourself. Make it yourself. That's not plagiarizing, it's replicating, right?
Yep.
Russell Brunson here in the Valley, he calls it funnel hacking. Like, see what other people are doing that work and replicate it and add your own character, your own voice, your own talent, your own character brand, whatever. David Bradford was on my podcast, season 1. This guy is the ultimate innovator. Holy cow. So he is innovating and teaching people different languages via VR and through their apps. Like, you can be totally in Beijing and Shanghai and be learning Mandarin or English or Chinese, whatever. Super cool stuff. And the end of the podcast, I asked him, what's the one thing you want people out there in the world to remember David Bradford as? And he said that exact thing. Like, look, Zach, everyone in the world that has showered has had a good idea. The difference between innovators and creators and who build a legacy of worth remembering or studying are those who took action. The Disneys, right? Mm-hmm. Disney was denied almost 400 times the money he needed to build his first theme park, right? And how many of those 400 people would have kicked themselves today if they would have invested in him? The difference between dreamers is the innovation, right? Like, we need less dreamers and more doers, right? Mm-hmm. People like have a dream, has a vision, has an idea, and they implement and they just go and they go all in. Yeah,
that's true, man. And you do that. You go all in. When you do stuff, you go all in. Hence the mixer board for your podcast.
There you go. Who needs a $500 mixer when you haven't recorded one episode?
I do.
Of a podcast? Oh, my family joke. Like, my mom's name is Gloria, and my family jokes now, like, you gotta go glow or go home. Like, it's go big. We have that trait of just going glow because my mom's fantastic. Like, if you know my mom, like, there's nothing that can be done small. Like, it's a production. It's a Broadway production. It could be a skit for a family reunion, but it's going to turn into a Broadway play. And
totally.
It's so fun. She makes everything so much more fun. And maybe that's where I get a lot of my innovation and creativity is from that side. But then the perfectionist side from the surgeon, right?
Yeah, totally.
So
you kind of have to get that from your dad's side.
Yeah. So
how's Garner Vines doing?
Garner Vines, it's the best local.
Your guys' bottles are dope.
Aren't they cool?
Dude, yeah, you guys branded that super well. It's a very indie looking, very classy.
Very classy.
Yeah, it looks like it just looks dope. It's good. Whatever you guys did a good job.
Yeah.
Simple, clean, and it looks like something I could put on my shelf for sure. Like, I could definitely put that out. Yeah, or buy a bottle for something.
Yeah. It only caused about 7 family fights, but you know what? No, it didn't at all. But everybody, we're all so creative in our own way. Everybody had different ideas, but at the end of the day, Mama Glow, she made the ultimate decision on the logo and brand, and she had a vision, and we followed it, and it turned out great. And my wife, actually graphic designer, she helped with it and put it together. And because my brother is just too big to like, he's a big graphic designer out in Tampa, and we'd love to have him have done it, but he actually designed Blue Moon, like Blue Moon's new logo coming out, and
that's
all
cool.
Payette Brewing and Sockeye, ConradGarner.com. Like, you could see all of his work that he does all over the country, like Tampa Bay, or the Tampa Flyers, the hockey team, NHL team. They celebrated their 100th year a year or two ago, and he did all the graphic design for the tickets, and just big names like that, big clientele. He's a individual private graphic design artist, and so there's that ability from probably my mom and my dad. Good mix of creativity and perfection.
Totally. That's cool, man. I like that. Your parents did a good job with all you kids. You got military, entrepreneurs, and athletes, and yeah, that's good. It reminds me a lot of my family. So as far as like, I think your parents and my parents probably raised us boys very similar in fashion, as far as
taught
like
us how to work and
strict, respectful, competitive, and you have to be in a household of 5 boys. I mean, you compete on every level. At least for me, I did. It was a fight to the death every night.
Oh man,
throwing punches. That's my blanket. I'm like 7. It's my blanket.
Something I learned from my brothers, and I applied to business now. It's like, you just can't compete. You have to dominate.
You do. Yeah.
Like I've actually been working on a ebook that I'm putting out now. That's stop spectating and start dominating. You know, that type of concept.
Yeah.
Is because that you gotta compete. Like there's so much attention. Like just statistics the other day was in the 80s. People's attention spans were 20 minutes long, and now today's there's 7 seconds.
I've heard
crazy like that.
Yeah,
right?
the numbers on it. Yeah,
and so you can't even just compete anymore. You have to dominate a space that you choose, and you gotta figure out a way to dominate.
Now we have the opportunity to dominate because everybody else is 7-second Tom, and they're on to the next goal.
True, that's true.
And it's those like you and I who can focus and put our foot down and go all in. So, well, shoot, man, let's wrap this up. I got a meeting here in a few minutes, but we can always do a round 2. I'd love to have you back on. This was an awesome conversation, dude.
Bro, we had a good time.
Great time.
You inspired me, man.
Yeah, well, you inspire me on a daily. That's why I wanted to have you on. I've been trying to get you on. I just know that we're both busy, and life doesn't work out all the time.
Life never slows down. You got to figure out how to run faster.
You do, dude. Yeah. Sometimes you have to run faster backwards. Yeah. So where can everybody find you at? Reaching World Podcast.
Yeah, so we have a couple different places. So Reaching World Podcast is on Facebook. reachingworld.org/podcast is an overview of season 1. We're on iTunes and SoundCloud. My Facebook page is Zach Garner, entrepreneur, investor, and podcaster. And then our ad agency is Lead Builder on Facebook as well. So
awesome.
We have a few different things going.
Cool, man. Well, everybody make sure that you like and subscribe to Reaching World Podcast. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Zach if you feel comfortable reaching out to Zach, or if you want to field those questions for anybody. If not, make sure that you at least subscribe to him and give the episode 5 stars. Listen to his content. He's got really good content. Short episodes like you heard about in the earlier part, but they're very quick and to the point and very informative, which is what's most attractive about your guys' platform, for sure.
Appreciate that.
And you guys have awesome guests, as everybody's listening knows. So, again, make sure you subscribe, give us 5 stars, and pass the episode along, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Hey.
You saying cool. I love it.
Thanks, guys. Peace.